the time of year Mother Nature can throw its wildest punches. From brutal, bone-chilling cold to ice storms that turn terrains into frozen tundras. Your weather authority isn't here to chit-chat about a winter wonderland. We're getting you prepared, helping you put a plan in place to stay one step ahead of what could be a season of snowstorms. Project Blizzard, a 13W REX original presentation, starts now.
It's that time of year again as we prepare for winter. Welcome to our annual special report, Project Blizzard. I'm Chief Meteorologist Alex Kirchner with your Weather Authority, and meteorologists Claudia Olick and John Jurgens will join me tonight as we help get you ready for the season ahead and all of the winter fun and frights that come with it. We'll go over what it takes to put a snow forecast together, what exactly happened during a very warm winter last winter, and of course, the big question everyone wants to know, how much snow we may get. With the new season underway, we expect a colder and snowier winter. So why is that? It's because last winter was the warmest on record for Rockford and the state line, so it won't take much to make this winter feel a lot more normal. We've already had a good helping of bitterly cold days, making up for last winter. And last winter only saw 2 weeks in the middle of January with true winter cold and snow. Otherwise, we had the 40s to 60s more often than not. We only saw 19.7 inches of snowfall, which is 9 inches less than what we usually see. And with the weather so warm, it was hard for that snow to stick even when it did happen to fall.
So why was last winter so warm? The two major factors were El Nino and climate change. El Nino is a regular climate pattern, but has a big influence on our winters. We generally see warmer and potentially drier winters anytime El Nino is in effect. The stronger the El Nino, the stronger the impacts. El Nino was close to being very strong last winter, which is why our season was so skewed towards being warm and dry. Now, climate change doesn't help either. Winter is our fastest warming season as the global climate continues to warm from fossil fuel pollution. This can push our floor higher, making it easier to hit record levels when we have a major influence like a strong El Nino.
But there were serious drawbacks. However, we saw tornadoes in February when temperatures almost hit the 80s. Wisconsin had never experienced a tornado in February before. And if you love the snow and winter activities, a lack of snow isn't good. The ice castles in Lake Geneva, for instance, aren't happening this year because of past troubles of winter being too warm. We also haven't had a white Christmas in 7 years, which doesn't make the holiday look as nice. So moving forward, an average winter looks like this. Average temperatures around 25 degrees and snowfall is around 28.8 inches. So make sure to stay tuned to the end of this special report as we'll look ahead and see what may happen this winter.
When we picture the winter months, cold, snow, and short days usually come to mind. Same with fun activities like making a snowman or going sledding. The reality is, all of that is disappearing due to climate change, just like we saw last winter. Climate change continues to push our seasons warmer and warmer, especially during the winter months. Winter is the fastest warming season due to human-caused climate change, and the worst effects are being felt right here in the Midwest with nearly 5 to 6 degrees or more of warming compared to the rest of the country. We definitely saw some of this effect last winter during the warmest winter on record. Data from Climate Central shows our average winter temperatures here in Rockford have warmed by a staggering 6 degrees since 1970. That's more than double the warming rate of the other 3 seasons. Looking at the calendar, we are experiencing 21 more days of above average temperatures in the winter than we did during 1970. That means 3 less weeks of snowy and typically chilly days that we associate with the winter here in northern Illinois. Now, warmer winters may sound nice, especially for the tons of people that happen to dislike or complain about the cold. There's less snow and ice to drive on, cutting down on risky travel and accidents. While there's still been a harsh cold snap or two, every winter the time spent below zero is less frequent and less intense. Your heating costs may not suffer much, but that's made up for higher cooling demands and costs during the spring, summer, and fall. There are other drawbacks too. The things that make winter beautiful here and fun are disappearing. We haven't had a white Christmas in 7 years. If you enjoy skiing, snowboarding, snowmobiling, those kind of things, we've not had good winters for that lately. Take the last 10 years, for instance, 70% of the time we've been below average for snowfall, with 30% of the time spent in the double digits below average. Now, if you rely on snow for income, it's been a rough decade. Warmer winters mean more time spent with seasonal allergies and pests like mosquitoes and ticks, since there's less harsh cold to kill off any of those annoyances. Animals and plants in general get confused, which can lead to crop damage later in the spring. As mentioned earlier, extreme weather like severe storms and tornadoes have a higher chance to occur during a season where they usually don't, which adds to the problems a warmer climate provides. Now, there is hope. We have all of the technology and resources needed to stop the amount of warming before it's too late to prevent the worst of climate change. That said, we are rapidly running out of time, so more action is needed and fast. Coming up after the break, we take you through what it takes to put a snow forecast together and highlight some of the new alerts you may get during severe winter weather. Stay with us as Project Blizzard continues in a few minutes.
Welcome back to our Project Blizzard special report. A lot of you are wondering what the overall forecast for this winter looks like. Don't worry, we'll get there soon. In terms of forecasting individual winter storms, over the next few months, there is a process that we follow to ensure that you receive the most accurate information. On occasion, if you follow certain pages on social media, you'll see model forecasts showing incredible snowfalls for certain parts of the country at extremely long ranges, even up to 2 weeks out. You're not going to see that coming from us. We don't even begin to specifically forecast for a storm until a week out at most. We are not going to unnecessarily raise alarms, and rest assured that we are going to keep a very close eye on the latest model runs. Even 5 to 7 days out, spread amongst those models is still very high, meaning there are a lot of scenarios at play, and we'll let you know what we know, and perhaps most importantly, what we don't know. It's really not until about 4 days out that we can hone in on a snowfall forecast. By then, we pass along general areas that could end up seeing that snow, and we get our first vague estimate of the best and worst case scenarios. Now, as we get 24 to 48 hours away from a major snowfall, you'll begin to see winter storm watches being issued by the National Weather Service. Once we get to this point, we are raising awareness on the coming snowfall to the areas that will be affected the most. General snowfall ranges also start to come out during this time. In that time frame, if you are in an affected area, you can begin to prepare for the coming snowfall. Ensure you have shovels and snow blowers prepared. Charge up your phones and find flashlights. Adjust any plans and have emergency supplies in your home and in your car ready to go. Also, make sure you have a standby generator in case power goes out, and within a day of that first flake falling, this is when winter storm warnings or winter weather advisories will be issued. That's by the National Service, of course, and remember that these alerts are your call to action. Either take a few extra steps to prepare for difficult travel as we get closer to the event, or postpone your plans entirely in case of these dangerous events. At this point, we're also paying close attention to what's happening with the storm through current observations and sorting through trends from a host of short-term models. We will keep you updated on both the travel conditions and revised forecasts if necessary. This is, of course, when we end up seeing most accurate snow totals coming out as well. If you plan on going out to shovel, make sure you take it easy. If you start feeling tired, go inside, take a break. If you begin feeling pain, especially in your chest, that is an emergency. Call 911 or find someone that can.
We now turn our attention to the winter up ahead, and one change that you may see as the season goes along. The National Weather Service is renaming and consolidating the alerts it sends, which hopefully makes it a little simpler for you to know what the alert is about. We're talking about extreme cold watches and wind chill watches consolidating into an extreme cold watch. That means some hazardous cold is on the way in the next 48 hours or so. The same goes for the warnings. Instead of a wind chill warning, you'll get an alert for an extreme extreme cold warning about 12 to 24 hours away from a dangerous cold snap. This way, regardless if the threat is the cold air itself or the wind chill, there's one simplified alert going out. And as for wind chill advisories, they'll be replaced with cold weather advisories. So hopefully you're noticing the theme here. It's all about emphasizing the hazardous cold air, no matter how we're getting it. Now, we'll still see our usual winter storm watches, winter weather advisories, and winter storm warnings this season. So remember, anytime a winter alert is issued, plan on potentially significant impacts to travel and really day-to-day life in general. As always, keep an eye on the forecast to see when snowy weather may return.
Stay with us because coming up, we give you our outlook on the winter ahead. That forecast is right on the other side of this break.
How will this winter shape up? For starters, it should be colder and snowier than last winter, just based on the record warmth we saw the last go around. Now, there aren't the same factors in play to have another record warm winter. One major factor will be La Nina this winter instead of El Nino. La Nina is the counterpart of El Nino, where colder than average waters in the eastern Pacific nudge that jet stream over the northern hemisphere. This usually results in colder weather across the northwest and northern plains and helps us bring wetter than usual weather around the Great Lakes.
This isn't a slam dunk for us, though, guaranteeing a very snowy winter. The strength of El Nino or La Nina matters too. For this winter, we're expecting a weak La Nina. La Nina will still be a big player in how our winter goes, but other short-term weather patterns could play spoiler for La Nina at times this winter. It's like playing a game of poker, but with extra aces in the deck. You may have an idea of how the deck is stacked, but it doesn't mean you know exactly what hand you're going to get on a week-to-week basis. Of course, we have to be cold enough for snow, but we could very well see a wet winter, but with rain instead of snow.
So where we end up in the storm track matters too. While La Nina does make the storm track more active for us, if we end up outside of it, we end up dodging out on a lot of extra storm chances. So if we look at the last 3 week La Ninas, 2 out of the 3 were nearly a foot below average for snowfall, and this is part of the reason why. However, the winter of 2017 to 2018 was almost right on average. All it takes is 1 or 2 storms to really boost those storm totals. So, putting this all together, how do we expect this winter to go? If anything, we're predicting a near average winter. Remember, this forecast is for the winter as a whole. We've already had plenty of chilly days so far this December, mixed with a couple dramatic warm-ups. We're expecting that to continue through the rest of winter. Now, as for snow, we're forecasting around an average amount of snowfall, around 28 inches. While we've barely seen any snow so far this winter, a weak La Nina should lead to a more active storm track, as well as a few more chances for snow. Colder weather this winter also means a higher chance for snow versus rain like we saw last winter. All of this combined leads to a higher snow total forecast for this winter compared to the last few. We hope all of this information helps keep you and your family safe and helps you plan for the winter ahead. Now, if you need a refresher on any of this information or you'd like to share it with friends and loved ones, you can find Project Blizzard on WREX.com and on the 13 WREX YouTube page. We hope you have a safe and fun winter and have a great rest of your night.